Summary of the book The Wild Robot Escape by Peter Brown. Part 1. A New Awakening on the Hill. It all begins in a city that never sleeps. Neon lights flicker on every corner, drones buzz overhead, and robots mingle with the crowds of humans. The avenues are full of life, or something resembling it. Driverless cars glide through the streets, taking their occupants from one destination to another without interruption, and in the distance, giant advertising screens illuminate the buildings with bright colors that hide the reality of the city. A city that has become more machine than human. Through this technological swarm, a delivery truck follows its route with mathematical precision. Its wheels skim the wet asphalt as its sensors synchronize with the flow of traffic, calculating every turn, every stop. There is no driver inside, just an artificial intelligence programmed to fulfill its task: delivering boxes. In its compartments, goods are meticulously packed, each with its final destination perfectly programmed. The streets are crowded, but the truck doesn't stop a second longer than necessary. It turns left, then right, weaving through buses and pedestrians, delivering boxes with an efficiency that only machines can achieve. This day, however, is different. The truck, after driving through the urban jungle of steel and glass, turns away from the skyscrapers and takes an exit on the main road. The traffic begins to lighten, and the buildings fade into the horizon, replaced by green fields and wide skies. The constant sound of urban engines is left behind, replaced by the whisper of the wind and the crunch of gravel under the truck's wheels. The roads become narrower, winding, until finally the truck reaches its destination, an isolated farm on a hill. The air here smells different. It is no longer polluted by the smoke of vehicles and the hum of industrial machines. It is fresher, purer, though mixed with the earthy aroma of the countryside and the lingering smell of animals. The truck stops in front of a dilapidated house. The sign hanging over the porch swings in the wind, almost ready to fall over, and you can barely read it: Granja La Colina. With a mechanical whir, the back of the truck opens, dropping a large box to the ground with a thud. Dust briefly rises into the air, as if the earth itself recognizes the importance of this moment. The truck, uncaring, closes its compartment and drives away, leaving a box and the mystery within behind. Inside that box is the ROZZUM 7134 unit, but you can call it Roz. The farm is silent. In the distance, the barking of a dog breaks the stillness. Out of the house comes Mr. Sharif, an older man, his body hunched from years of work in the sun. His dog, Oscar, follows close behind, sniffing the air curiously. Sharif walks slowly to the box, his boots kicking up little clouds of dust with each step. He stops in front of the package, examines the label, and lets out a long, tired sigh. He knew this would come sooner or later. He knew he would need a machine to help him, but he was not prepared for what this machine would really mean. "Let's see what we have here," he mutters as he opens the lid. Inside, packed tightly between protective foam and restraining cables, is Roz, her metallic body gleaming in the afternoon sun. Sharif leans over and presses a small button on the back of the robot's head. Instantly, Roz's systems come to life. A soft hum fills the air as her artificial brain wakes up, initiating all its programs. Roz's eyes light up and her head moves with mechanical precision, analyzing her surroundings. Roz stands up automatically, her movements fluid and precise. She steps out of the box and stands before Sharif, standing tall and imposing. Her voice, though robotic, is surprisingly soft when she first speaks. "Hello, I'm ROZZUM Unit 7134, but you can call me Roz. I'm fully activated and ready to receive instructions. Just give me a task and I'll complete it." Mr. Sharif nods slowly. To him, Roz is nothing more than a tool, something he has bought to make his life on the farm easier. There is no emotion in his eyes, only practical necessity. "Start by taking that box to the garage," he orders without hesitation, pointing towards a building on the other side of the field. Roz obeys without further ado. Her body moves with perfect mechanical precision as she lifts the box and walks to the garage. But inside Roz, even though she doesn't understand it yet, something is beginning to stir. It's not a glitch in her systems or a programming error. It's something deeper. A spark, a small light in the darkness of her circuits that is beginning to shine brighter and brighter. Roz has no memory of her previous life, of her existence on a wild island. She is just a machine, programmed to learn and obey. Yet as she carries the box into the garage, her mind begins to process information in a different way. Every step she takes, every task she completes, brings her closer to something that even the most advanced programming cannot foresee: consciousness. But for now, his life on the farm begins mechanically, without question, without thinking beyond his daily tasks. Only somewhere deep within him, something stirs, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Part 2. The Fury of the Wind and the Awakening of the Will. The sky above La Colina farm suddenly darkens. What at first seems like an ordinary storm soon reveals its true nature. A tornado, raging and relentless, descends from the clouds like an enraged monster. The winds increase in intensity, howling with a force that shakes the trees, raising dust and debris. The air becomes heavy, charged with electricity, and nature itself seems to hold its breath at what is about to be unleashed. The normally quiet and isolated farm becomes the center of a primal fury that has no compassion for either humans or machines. Roz is working in the fields, methodically going about her daily tasks, with no worries other than maintaining efficiency. But when the wind begins to roar and the first objects start flying through the air, something in her programming kicks in. Her sensors detect the impending danger. Her internal logic tells her to protect the farm, but at the same time, a stronger, deeper signal pushes her to act in ways not intended in her original programming. The tornado hits with devastating force. The air is a chaos of dust and screams, animals running amok, and humans scrambling for cover. Roz needs no shelter. Her metal body withstands the initial impact of the debris, but a powerful blow sends her crashing into the barn, crashing through a wooden wall that disintegrates on contact. Her frame, designed to withstand, begins to creak under the extreme pressure. Sparks fly from her joints, and her internal systems overheat. The world around is a whirlwind of chaos. Roz, despite the damage, stands up, unsteady. Her internal system flashes with warnings, but she can't stop now. The farm is being destroyed. The roof of the main house is peeling off like a sheet of paper, the cows in the field are blown away by the wind, and the trees surrounding the place fall one by one, uprooted. Roz, her body still shaken by the impact, begins to move. "Roz, come here." Mr. Sharif calls from a distance, his voice barely audible over the roar of the wind. But Roz doesn't respond. Something inside her has changed. Her initial programming is designed to follow orders, but at that critical moment, as she watches the chaos and destruction, something beyond simple obedience activates. Roz sees the children, Jaya and Jad, running toward the barn, seeking shelter. She sees Oscar, the dog, barking frantically, lost in the dust. She knows she must protect them, not because it is an order, but because something inside her tells her it is the right thing to do. Roz runs towards the children. Every step feels like a challenge as debris continues to fly around her. A huge piece of roof falls nearby, but she dodges it at the last second. Warning systems keep flashing in her vision, but she doesn't ignore them. She has a mission. She reaches the children and covers them with her own metal body, protecting them from the wind and the objects that continue to fly. A tree falls nearby, but it bounces off Roz's body, denting her even more. "You're crazy, Roz." Jad screams, watching as the machine faces the storm like a living shield. "I never thought a robot could do so much for us," Jaya murmurs, watching as Roz endures the onslaught of the wind, keeping them safe. Roz doesn't respond. Not because she doesn't want to, but because her system is at its limit. The impact has left her severely damaged. Her main processor struggles to stay operational, yet she remains standing. The tornado begins to move away, its fury slowly waning. But the aftermath is devastating. The farm has been torn apart. The fields are ruined, the animals have scattered, and the buildings are barely standing. Despite the critical state of her systems, Roz begins to move. She sees the cows in the distance, stuck in the rubble, and though each step she takes sends more sparks from her damaged joints, she heads toward them. She isn't waiting for instructions. No one has ordered her to do anything. She just does it. Roz uses her mechanical strength to move the rubble, freeing the trapped animals. Mr. Sharif, exhausted and overwhelmed by the destruction, watches her work in silence. Until then, he had seen Roz only as a tool, a machine designed to follow orders. But now, he sees something more. He sees someone who is making decisions, someone who is acting on her own volition. "What are you doing, Roz?" Sharif asks, his voice filled with wonder. Roz, her body covered in dense and exposed wires, simply replies, "I'm helping." The family gathers around Roz as the storm fades on the horizon. They all look at the robot with a mixture of admiration and bewilderment. She is not just another machine. Roz has done something beyond her programming. She has acted on instinct, on something that no machine should have. Will. That's when something begins to change inside Roz. It's not just the physical damage she suffered, it's something deeper, something that even her most advanced circuits can't explain. Roz begins to feel, not in the human sense, but in a primal way. A longing for something she can't describe, something beyond simply obeying orders. As the family struggles to rebuild what's left of the farm, Roz is still there, but not like she used to be. She's no longer just a tool. She's an ally. More than just a machine. And inside her, that little spark that ignited during the tornado continues to grow, slowly, but with a strength that will soon challenge everything expected of her. Part 3. The Fury of the Wind and the Awakening of the Will. As the days go by, something changes in Roz. Although she is a machine programmed to follow orders, she begins to experience sensations that go beyond her code. She doesn't know why, but there is a constant restlessness within her, as if something inside her is trying to remember. Blurry, fragmented images appear in her mind. Wild nature, animals running free among the trees, the wind whipping through the treetops, and a vast, limitless sky. These memories should not exist. Her memory was wiped, but they creep into her processes like shadows of a past life. At night, while the rest of the farm sleeps, Roz lies still, motionless in front of the barn window, staring into the darkness. Without her fully understanding it, these moments of calm bring on a strange ache, a nostalgia that makes no sense to a machine. The wind whistles through the trees, and something inside her stirs. Those memories of the island, her former life, seep into her programming and bring a sense of loss. The desire for freedom begins to grow, as if the daily tasks on the farm are no longer enough for her. Roz feels trapped, but not by the fences or the buildings. It's something deeper, something she can't quite define, but it makes her feel as if the farm, with all its fields and animals, is a cage. Even the Sharif family, who have treated her with affection and respect, become a kind of unwilling jailer. Roz can't talk to them about what she feels. She doesn't even know how to explain it. Why would a machine have dreams? Why does she feel this constant desire to run away? One night, while repairing a fence that the wind had torn, Roz stops. She looks at the horizon. In her mind, she can see the island. She smells the fresh air, the scent of nature, and for a moment, she forgets where she is. The barking of Oscar, the dog, brings her out of her reverie. She snaps back to reality, but the feeling lingers. She wants to escape. She wants to be free. But just as his thoughts begin to overflow, a new threat appears on the horizon. At first, it's just a noise in the distance. Roz detects it with her long-range sensors, but doesn't pay it much attention. It could be anything: animals, machinery on another farm, or just the wind. But the noise gets louder, more distinct. Then she recognizes it. It's them, the RECOs. RECOs are hunter robots, relentless and programmed with one goal: to locate and capture defective units. Roz knows what that means. If she is found, she will be returned to the factory to be dismantled, erased. Everything she has learned, everything she has ever felt, will be gone. She cannot allow that to happen. The noise turns into a metallic hum that echoes in the distance. Roz goes on alert, scanning the horizon. The hunters are close. For an instant, her ancient programming kicks in, her defense protocols gearing up. But something stronger drives her. Fear, not just for herself, but for the Sharif family. If the RECOs find her here, they might destroy everything in their path to capture her. Roz runs into the house. Inside, the children are playing, oblivious to the danger. Jad is the first to notice their agitation. "Rose, what's wrong?" he asks, his voice full of curiosity and innocence. Roz pauses, her mind processing 1,000 possibilities. How to explain to them what is about to happen? How to tell them that the hunter robots are after her? Finally, her answer is direct. They're looking for me, she replies, her robotic voice shaking slightly. The children don't fully understand the gravity of the situation, but Ra's tone unsettles them. Who's looking for you? Jad insists, moving closer to the window, trying to see what Ra sees. Hunter robots. They want to take me back to the factory. If they find me here, everyone will be in danger, Roz explains, her calm hiding the chaos she feels inside. The children look at each other, scared but determined. They want to help Roz, but they don't know how. Jaya, always the most impulsive, suggests they hide in the stable. Rose, we can hide you. I won't let them take you, she says, her small voice filled with determination. Roz leans towards her. It's not that simple. These robots won't stop until they find me, and I don't want you to suffer because of me. The RECO's buzzing grows louder, closer. Roz knows she has to act fast. If she stays, the Sharif family will be in danger. If she runs, the RECOs will follow her, but perhaps she could lead them away from the farm, to a place where they can do no harm. But the thought of escape fills her with a contradictory feeling. The freedom she so longs for could mean losing everything she's built with the Sharif family. The decision is difficult. Every second counts. Roz feels the dilemma in each of her circuits. The image of the island, of the trees and the wind, remains in her mind. But the reality in front of her is brutal. She must protect her family, even if it means losing her only chance to be free. Roz, you can't leave, Jad mutters, clutching her metal arm, but she knows she must. It's for the best, Jad, he says softly, as the sound of the hunters grows closer and closer. Roz prepares to flee, not only to save herself, but to protect those who have made her feel more than just a machine. It's time to face the RECOs, and maybe find her freedom, even if it costs her very existence. Part 4. A Trap in the Dark, the Ultimate Sacrifice. Night falls on Hill Farm, a moonless night, where only the stars and the dim glow of the automatic lights in the stables illuminate the landscape. Roz is alert, her sensors picking up every little movement around her. She knows the RECOs are close. The air is thick with tension, and the wind whistles through the treetops, but what resonates most in her mind is a single word. The robotic hunters have already located her. On the horizon, two metallic silhouettes move with deadly precision, their bodies reflecting the starlight, the hum of their engines echoing like a warning in the darkness. Roz knows the time has come. She can run no longer. The decision she has avoided for so long is finally made by itself. Roz watches the house from a distance, the warm light from within casting itself across the outside. Inside, the Sharif family sleeps, oblivious to the danger lurking just a few feet away. If she turns herself in, the RECOs will capture her, return her to the factory, and it will all be over. The family will be safe. But Roz knows that these hunters will not stop looking for her, will stop at nothing to accomplish their mission. If she runs, the RECOs will raise the farm and everything she has come to value. Everything the Sharif family has built will be destroyed in the process. The wind caresses the leaves of the trees, and Roz makes a decision. She will not let the RECOs destroy everything. She will not let them win. With a silent, precise movement, Roz slips into the backgrounds of the farm. There, between the trees and the stables, she has the advantage. She has learned the nooks and crannies of the farm. She has observed how the wild animals interact with their surroundings. With cunning and patience, she begins to prepare a trap. She has no sophisticated weapons, but she has something far more powerful: knowledge. She knows how to move the rubble, where to place the stones, and how to manipulate the electric fences that surround the pastures. Everything has to be fast, precise. There is no room for error. The RECO's hum intensifies. The hunters are upon her. The first RECO appears in the distance, its eyes glowing like two low red moons in the darkness, its sensors scanning everything in its path. Roz watches from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment. Her trap is set. She knows she'll only get one chance. The hunter moves towards her, straight, relentless. And just as he steps over an old bale of hay Roz has prepared as bait, she activates the system. A massive electrical discharge erupts from the fences, engulfing the RECO in a storm of sparks. Its metal body shakes violently as its internal systems fail one by one. Within seconds, the hunter collapses, motionless, on the farm floor. Roz eyes the RECO's body warily. There's no time to celebrate. The second hunter has already detected the anomaly and is heading towards it with alarming speed. This one is different. He's faster, stronger, and he's learned from his partner's mistake. Roz runs through the trees, her metal body slamming into the branches as she tries to gain ground. But the RECO follows close behind, giving her no respite. Roz moves nimbly, but she feels her systems starting to fail. The damage from the storm, the wear and tear of the chase, it's all starting to take its toll. The hunter is getting closer, and Roz knows that if she doesn't act soon, all will be lost. Finally, she stops in a clearing. There is nowhere else to run. The RECO emerges from the shadows, its red eyes fixed on her, advancing like a predator that has found its prey. Roz looks up at the starry sky for a moment, one last look at the vastness, at the freedom she has dreamed of for so long. Then, with renewed determination, she prepares for her final act. "They won't take me back," he murmurs, his robotic voice echoing in the darkness. In a desperate move, Roz manipulates the exposed wires on her body and connects them to a nearby transformer. The power surge is immediate. Her entire system lights up with an explosion of sparks and lights. The RECO, which lunges towards her, is hit by the blast at the last second, its metallic body flying into pieces before falling limply to the ground. Silence returns to the farm. Rose, badly injured, can barely stand. Her vision begins to flicker, her systems shutting down one by one. But she has won. She has destroyed the hunters. The family is safe. With the last of her energy, Roz staggers towards the house. Jaya and Jad, awakened by the crash, rush towards her, their faces filled with terror at the state of the robot. "Rose, you can't leave us," Jaya pleads, her eyes filling with tears as she kneels beside the fallen machine. Roz, her body battered and her circuits burned out, can barely move her head to look at the children. The Sharif family has been everything to her, but in that moment, only one word occupies her mind. The word that has guided her every action: freedom. With her last spark of energy, Roz replies in a whisper, her voice barely audible over the hum of her failing systems. "Free." And then, her eyes go out, leaving only the echo of freedom resonating in the farm air. Part 5. Free. The journey into the unknown. The farm survives, but the air is different. The ground is still firm beneath the Sharif family's feet, the trees still standing, though some are now marked by the scars of the confrontation. The animals, those that were not lost in the storm and the chase, roam restlessly through the fields, but something deeper has changed. Roz, the machine that came to work the land, is not simply a tool to them. In that moment of sacrifice, in that explosion that destroyed the RECOs, the robot was no longer just a bundle of wires and metal. She became something more. Jad and Jaya walk around her fallen body, eyes filled with tears. They don't know how to process what just happened. How could something so cold and mechanical risk so much for them? To Jaya, the idea that Roz was limited by her programming no longer makes sense. Roz made choices. Roz acted with purpose beyond her directives. "Dad, we can't leave her like this," Jaya murmurs, her voice barely audible, cracking with emotion. Mr. Sharif approaches slowly. His eyes, accustomed to the hardships of farm work, are now filled with a deep sadness. He kneels beside Roz and runs his hand over her metal head. His life has always been practical, simple. Robots are made to follow orders to serve humans. But Roz was different. The sacrifice she made forced him to reconsider everything he once believed about machines. "It taught us more than we ever thought," he says, his voice grave. "Even a machine can have a soul." The wind blows softly through the ruins of the battle, kicking up small clouds of dust that swirl around her. Roz is motionless. Her body is just a pile of metal, dented and scorched. The internal circuits shut down, unable to reactivate. But then, something changes. A small flash of light lights up in her eyes. At first it is barely perceptible, but little by little, that light grows, spreading along her damaged limbs. Roz, though shattered, is coming back to life. The children step back, amazed. "Dad, look," Jad screams, his voice filled with disbelief and hope. Mr. Sharif watches in amazement as Roz stirs, slowly at first, as if she is awakening from a deep sleep. Her head lifts, her eyes blink with a new sparkle, and a soft hum emanates from her body as her systems begin to reactivate. Roz, against all odds, is back. But this isn't simply a reset. Something has changed deep within her. A hidden code, buried deep within her programming, activates, freeing Roz from the constraints that had bound her for so long. She is not fully repaired. Her body is still damaged, dented, and covered in the scars of battle. But her mind is free. Roz stands up, a little unsteady, but with a clear determination in her movements. The wind blows again, caressing the robot's metallic skin, and in that moment, Roz feels something she's never felt before, the ability to choose. Rose, Jaya murmurs, taking a step towards her, but not knowing what to say. Roz looks at her, but this time, there is no need for words. The decision she now faces does not come from any protocol or command. She is making a decision on her own, one that even the most advanced programming could not have predicted. The countryside falls silent, the sounds of battle gone, and all that can be heard is the soft whisper of the wind through the trees. Roz looks out over the horizon. The farm, the family, have been her home, but deep inside, something else calls to her. It's not just the memory of the wild island or the fragments of nature she dreams of in her cycles of rest. It's something deeper. It's the freedom to explore, to know the world for herself, without the limitations of a machine designed to obey. Roz takes one step into the hills, then another. Every step is firm, every decision hers. The Sharif family watches in silence, not daring to stop her. They have understood that Roz is more than a machine. She is a part of their story, but now her journey must continue. Roz has transcended her robot existence. She has broken free from her programming, transcended the limits of her design, and is now in search of something far greater than freedom: purpose. Jaya runs after her for a moment. "Where are you going?" she asks, her voice breaking. Roz stops, turns slowly, and for a moment, it seems as if she might respond. But instead of words, she simply extends a hand toward the girl, as if in silent farewell. Then, without looking back, she continues on her way. The wind blows harder now, stirring the leaves, clearing the dust from the ground. Roz, broken but not defeated, walks beyond the hills, towards an unknown destination. No one knows where her journey will take her, or what she will find on the other side of that horizon. But one thing is certain: she is no longer just a machine. Will she survive? Will she manage to find her true purpose in this vast, wild world? That, dear reader, remains to be seen. Get the book at planalibro.com.